Good morning, everybody. Lee Brower here, and welcome to this week's edition of Meaningful Monday. I am grateful to be here, and I am glad to be here. You know, I've had several people ask me, why is it that you begin Meaningful Mondays every week with I am grateful to be here and I am glad to be here? They said, we can understand the grateful to be here, but how come you always say you're glad to be here? And, I thought about it, and I probably never really have explained it to any of you. And, where it comes from, so that you understand this, is it comes from Greg Lipsitz and his family. And, Greg, well, I've talked about him before. How we've had the opportunity to visit with him in his home, and he's just an amazing family, amazing strength, and he's been living with cancer. And so they determined that their mantra is going to be to say, I am glad to be here. Because no matter how tough the situation, no matter how dire it is, you can be glad to be there. And when you're glad to be there, that brings in this ultimate sense of gratitude that it's not I have to be grateful for or I have to be grateful in. In fact, I can be unhappy because every one of us have the right to be sad. We don't have to always be happy. There's times when we can't have to be sad. But we can always be glad. I am glad to be here, glad in that situation. So I say it every week to remind me that I can be glad no matter what the situation is. And thank you to Greg, to his family, for setting that example that I'm hopefully now sharing with you so that you can see it. I am so fixated on learning. I love to learn. And I wish I had the same passion when I was younger. I wish I had the same understanding. But there's a process of learning that's really important. With all thy learning, get understanding. With all thy getting, get understanding. Learning and understanding are two different things. But you have to learn first to get understanding. And maybe the reality is you have to learn, experience, and then start to understand. I believe that the glory of God is glorified by our learning. It's one of the reasons that we're here. And then I believe that the Almighty takes delight when we learn and our efforts to improve and enrich our mind and to learn from that and to share and to grow. But we live in a world right now where knowledge is accelerating at such a fast pace. There is so much of an abundance of knowledge around us. How do we take that knowledge and learn from it and get understanding from it? That's the real question. Now, I have a story, may I be so bold? May I be so bold to say that there's way too many of us that spend hours in front of the TV set or other types of media just getting fed this mindless drivel, when there's so much good material that's out there today. I mean, the internet and all of the information that's coming out, it can serve for good or it can serve for bad. You choose. You choose. You're the one that's in charge of your time. You're the one that's in charge of your choices. You're the one that's in charge of learning, and you're the one that's in charge of learning to understand. Can I share with you an experience? We've talked about learning from your past before. Now, I may have shared this experience with you. I know I've shared it with numerous of you, either in person. I could have even shared it on a Meaningful Monday. Not sure. But I want you to pay attention to this because the learning goes deeper than what I thought. So at my mom's funeral, Cassie, my niece, gave a beautiful talk. And in her talk, she talked about when she was 3 years old and how Grammy, when she became, when things were, when she was a little bit restless or noisy or out of shapes, Grammy said, come here, Cassie. And she'd open up the refrigerator, take out a can of whipped cream and say, open your mouth, pop the lid and squirt it down in her mouth. And Cassie would become happy. And she said that from that, as she's thought about it during her life, she has learned that it only takes a little bit of happiness to get rid of the bitterness. Well, can light and darkness occupy the same space at the same time? No. But think about this for a second as I've thought about this. How much light does it take to eliminate darkness? If I have a completely dark room and I strike a match, haven't I eliminated darkness? It doesn't take much. Contrast that with if I have a bright room, a light room, how much darkness does it take to make it completely dark? Now, from a law of physics standpoint, not much. But, in real world, we can have a room of enlightened people. And if we let the dark people, somebody that comes in with darkness come in, or our attitudes go to dark really fast, we can take a light room and make it dark just as fast as we can make it light. So what I learned from the whipped cream experience is that truly it only takes a little bit of sweetness to get rid of the bitterness. And what a great story, the story of the whipping cream. And right now, so we've got our whipping cream in our fridge. And I've gotten email from several of you that have now got whipping cream in your fridge. If my mom only knew, I don't think she understood. I think she wanted just to quiet us down, and that sure beats rubbing soap in your mouth. Because how much would we remember soap today in a positive way? But we will remember whipped cream. I didn't think she realized that she is creating something that will actually outlive her, and that's the power of learning and understanding. Sometimes the understanding comes long after we've experienced or thought we learned it. It may come much later. But this whole lesson, what it brings to mind, the whipped cream lesson, is the concept of gratitude, the concept of being in gratitude, the concept of going big. You know, I got an email recently from a dear client of mine, and we just had an amazing experience with her, but we've been over time. And she said in that, it's so crazy to me that going big can change a life. I know that it has changed mine, and every night when I say my prayers, I thank God for you. And I thank God for my company. And I thank God for all of this and the impact that going big has had. You know, it only takes a little bit of light to take out the bitterness. Are you a bearer of light? I hope that we all are, that we are bearers of light, that when we enter into a room, we bring with it that gratitude and that light that makes a difference. There's a couple of lessons that are embedded in this morning's Meaningful Monday. One is that we continue to learn from our past. We get understanding after we have learning. We have the experience, learning, and then understanding, and the understanding continues to grow. The second thing is, it only takes a little bit of light, a little bit of whipped cream to get rid of the bitterness. So look at your week this week. Can you take and add whipped cream to the lives of others this week? Can you bring brightness to them this week? I am grateful to be a part of your community. I'm grateful to be a part that you are making me better. I look forward to talking to you next week, and have a meaningful week this week. Bye-bye.